Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome to the stream. I apologize for taking a while to actually get started. My dogs decided to go outside and bark at who knows what before we could get started here. So, welcome to the stream. My name is Xevi, and today is a little bit of a departure for myself in the streaming. But when I first debuted, I had said that I had wanted to learn how to code and eventually in order to be able to make my own games. And today I think we're going to finally take the first steps in order to do that. So, so far on the stream, on this channel, we've done gaming content for the most part, but today's a bit of a departure. I'm going to be learning how to code with freecodecamp.org, which is an absolutely free website that you can go to, and you can learn how to code here. And I want to give a shout out to the YouTuber who pointed me in this direction. His name is Dorian, and his YouTube channel, Dorian Develops, on YouTube is what pointed me toward freecodecamp.org. I'd never heard of it before. And I work in IT. I'm CompTIA A+ and Security Plus certified. But I've always been curious about coding, and I've learned like a little bit before. I've learned a little bit of HTML, and I've learned a little bit of JavaScript and Visual Basic before. And I had always been curious, but I've never, like, if we were to put it in terms of, like, a language, I'm basically somewhere in the infant to toddler range of coding. But, so I'm not completely in the dark, but I am rusty. So, I'm going to keep the music on its current playlist for now. If any words come up, I'm probably going to have to switch it to classical because that's what I usually listen to in order to concentrate. Like, I can't think if words are involved with the music. But so long as we keep it instrumental, we should be fine. Let's see what else. Looks like we're dropping frames like nobody's business. I've noticed that on Twitch today, that everybody's kind of dropping frames for apparently no reason. Because I don't have like the absolute best internet, but it's pretty good. And on a good day, it doesn't give us any trouble. But without much further ado, I think we're going to go ahead. Put my phone over here. And we're going to go ahead and start at the beginning. Welcome to Free Code Camp's HTML coding challenges. These will walk you through web development step by step. First, you'll start by building a simple web page using HTML. You can edit code in your code editor, which is embedded into this web page. You see the code in your code editor that says h1 hello h1? It's an HTML element. Most HTML elements have an opening tag and a closing tag. Opening tags look like this. I remember a little bit of this. So this is like header 1, right? Like header size 1. Closing tags look like this with the slash. The only difference between opening and closing tags is the / after the opening bracket of a closing tag. Each challenge has tests you can run at any time by clicking the Run the Tests button. When you pass all tests, you'll be prompted to submit your solution and go to the next coding challenge. To pass the test on this challenge, change your h1 element's text to say hello world. That's fairly simple. We'll just go here and in the body type in world. Oh, that was pretty easy. I mean, I guess they would start with baby steps, wouldn't they? Alright, next challenge. Over the next few lessons, we'll build an HTML5 cat photo web app piece by piece. The H2 element you will be adding in this step will add a level 2 heading to the web page. This element tells the browser about the structure of your website. H1 elements are often used for main headings, while H2 elements are generally used for subheadings. There are also H3, H4, H5, and H6 elements to indicate different levels of subheadings. Add an H2 tag that says cat photo app. Oh, when they say cat photo, I thought cat was like, you know, like jargon for something, but no, they mean like a literal cat. It says cat photo app to create a second HTML element below your hello world H1 element. Alrighty. H2 cat photo app. Okay. Baby steps. Control Enter. P elements are the preferred element for paragraph text. I remember this. I did this a lot in junior high. Was when I first started learning how to use HTML. Because I was part of the special ed program. And one of the things that we did as part of the... Well, when I say special education, I mean like the advanced education, but not the. Oh God, I made a terrible mistake. They're technically in the same category, really. But anyway, what was I saying? Anyway, one of the challenges that we entered was we entered like a website building contest, and I don't remember if we won or not. P elements are preferred text for paragraph text on websites. P is short for paragraph. Create a paragraph element like this. P, I'm a P tag, blah blah. Create a P element below your H2 element and give it text hello paragraph. Note, as a convention, all HTML tags are written in the lowercase. For example, P/P and not uppercase P/uppercase P. And that's the thing about coding, is that all codes have their own, like, you know, rules, like whether they're case sensitive or not. I know that much. So hello paragraph. Oh, nope. Nope. I'm getting my keys wrong. Run the tests. Alright, next. Fill in the blank with placeholder text. Web developers traditionally use lorem ipsum? Lorem ipsum text as placeholder text. The lorem ipsum text... Oh, okay, I remembered this. Lorem ipsum text is randomly scraped from a famous passage by Cicero of ancient Rome. Lorem ipsum text has been used as placeholder text by typesetters since the 16th century, and this tradition continues on the web. In college, I actually took a little bit of Latin, so... Well, 5 centuries is long enough. Since we're building a cat photo app, let's use something called kitty ipsum text. Replace the text inside your P element with the first few words of this kitty ipsum text. Okay. Kitty ipsum dolor sit amet, comma. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, I think, is the minimum for few. Alrighty. Uncomment HTML. Okay, so this is where you can like write in hidden code within your code to help other people looking at it figure out how you did or why you did what you did. Commenting is a way that you can leave comments for other developers within your code without affecting the resulting output that is displayed to the end user. Commenting is also a convenient way to make code inactive without having to delete it entirely. So like if you're working on something and it's not quite ready yet, you can make it a comment instead of actual code in the program. Comments in HTML start with exclamation point dash dash and end with a dash dash. I'm not saying caret, you know, on purpose. Uncomment your H1, H2, and P elements. There. Run the tests. All right. Remember that in order to start a comment, you need to use exclamation point dash dash, and in a comment you need to use dash dash. Here you'll need to end the comment before your H2 element begins. Oh, and my dogs are making noise again. Okay. I'm going to step away for just a second. I'm not going to mute. I'll be right back. What is it now, mister? What? You don't want to be that better with Titan? You want to hang out with me? Okay, you can come code with me. Yeah, it's my boy Shaggy. He doesn't want to be alone right now, apparently. Okay. Here you'll need to end the comment before your H2 element begins. Comment out your H1 element in your P element, but not your H2 element. Okay, easy enough. Dash dash hyphen or caret. Run the tests. Alright, next challenge. Our phone doesn't have much vertical space. Let's remove the unnecessary elements so we can start building our cat photo app. Delete your H1 element so we can simplify our view. Highlight, backspace. Run the tests. This is some kind of like kiddie stuff, but it is helpful to, warm back up into it. HTML5 introduces more descriptive HTML tags. These include main, header, footer, nav, video, article. Gosh, what HTML did I study in junior high? I don't even remember. I don't know what version it was. Main, header, footer, nav, video, article, section, and others. These tags give a descriptive structure to your HTML, make your HTML easier to read, and help with search engine optimization and accessibility. The main HTML5 tag helps search engines and other developers find the main content of your page. Example usage: a main element with two child elements nested inside it. Okay. Note: many of the new HTML5 tags and their benefits are covered in the Applied Accessibility section. Create a second P element with the following kitty ipsum text. Per jump, eat the grass, rip the couch, scratched, sunbathe, shed everywhere, rip the couch, sleep in the sink, fluffy fur, catnip scratched. Then create a main element and nest only the two P elements inside the main element. Okay. Actually, we can probably make this easier on ourselves with copy and paste instead of typing all that stuff out. So then we go back up here, we make a main element, and then we close it down here. Alright. You can add images to your website by using the img element and point to a specific image's URL using the src or source attribute. Example of this would be image source blah 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 blah. Note that the img elements are self-closing. All img elements must have an alt attribute. The text inside an alt attribute is used for screen readers to improve accessibility and is displayed if the image fails to load. Note, if the image is purely decorative, using an empty alt attribute is a best practice. Ideally, the alt attribute should not contain special characters unless needed. Let's add an Let's add an alt attribute to our img example above. Oh, okay. So the alt text would display this, a business cat wearing a necktie. Oh, that's why it said if the image is purely decorative, using an empty alt attribute is the best practice. Okay. Within the existing main element, insert an img element before the existing p elements. Now set the source attribute so that it points to the URL blah 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 blah. Okay. So we can copy that. Keep messing that up. img src source equals, oh, we need exclamation points, and then a source, I mean an alt, that is our source. Alt equals relaxing cat. It's self-closing, isn't it? So that means we just need to add the caret. Yep. Run the tests. Okay. Pretty fun so far. You can use anchor elements to link to content outside of your web page. Anchor elements need a destination web address called it href attribute. They also need anchor text. Here's an example. href this links to freecodecamp.org. Then your browser will display the test. This links to freecodecamp.org as a link you can click, and that link will take you to the web address. Okay, so it displays this links to blah blah blah, and that's a hypertext link, which is like the main thing about HTML. Create an element that links to blah 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 and has cat photos as its anchor text. Do I do it in the empty space? mean, I guess. Href. Free cat photo app.com. No. Yes. Free cat photo app.com. Cat photos. Okay, and then you close it. Then you close the A element. Oh. We need to add the quotations. Well, no. We did add the quotations, but they're not in the right place. Huh? We're not doing something right. I'm not doing something right. Oh, it shouldn't be there. It should be inside the caret. Okay, now we got it. Okay, not the prettiest. Probably should have put it after the image. On a new line, maybe. Okay. Well, they are non-profits, so, you know, they are going to ask for donations. And I mean, it's a free service, so can't be too mad at them for that. Alright. Link to internal sections of a page with anchor elements. Anchor elements can also be used to create internal links to jump to different sections within a web page. To create an internal link, you assign a link's href attribute to a hash symbol plus the value of the identity attribute for the element that you want to internally link to, usually further down the page. You then need to add the same ID attribute to the element you are linking to. An ID is an attribute that uniquely describes an element. Below is an example of the internal anchor link and its target element. A href contacts header, contacts h2 ID, contacts header, contacts h2. When users click the contacts link, they'll be taken to the section of the web page with the contacts header element. Change your external link to an internal link by changing the reference attribute to footer in the text from cat photos to jump to bottom. Remove the target blank attribute from the anchor tag since this causes the link document to open in a new window tab. Then an ID attribute with the value of footer to the footer element at the bottom of the page. Change your external link to an internal link by changing the href attribute to Oh. Totally, nope, screwed the pooch there. Not what I meant to do. Gosh darn, why are my keys off? There we go. No, that's D. Foot. My fingers are all over the place. Footer. Text from cat photos to jump to bottom. Jump to bottom. Remove the target blank. Then add an ID attribute, the value of footer, to the footer element. Does that mean I get rid of copyright cat photo app? Now they're making me get the thinkies. Okay, yeah, you put it inside here. Footer ID equals footer. That's it, right? Oh, we got it. On to the next. You can nest links within other text elements. Excuse me, I should be yawning so soon. Well, I did have to do this late at night. Okay. You can nest links within other text elements. Okay. Let's break down the example. Normal text is wrapped in the P element. Here's a blank for you to follow. That's the P element. Next is the anchor element, which requires a closing tag, /A. Target is an anchor tag attribute that specifies where to open the link. The value blank specifies to open the link in a new tab. The href is an anchor tag attribute that contains the URL address of the link. The text linked to freecodecamp.org within the A element is called anchor text and will display the link to click. Display the link to click. The final output of the example will look like this. Yep. Nest the existing A element within the new P element. The new paragraph should have text that says view more cat photos, where cat photos is a link and the rest is plain text. Okay. So we can only have one A element, which links to https blah 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 freecatphotoapp.com. A element should have the anchor text of cat photos. You should create a new P element. There should be at least 3 total P tags in your HTML code. So let's go ahead and make view more space. And then we put the A element here, right? No. So we put the A element here. Because that's within the P element. Alright, okay. Because we're nesting into A and the P element. P element should have the text view more. Your A element should not have the text view more. Each of your P elements should have a closing tag. Each of your A elements should have a closing tag. Okay, so I need to look at the example. Okay, I think I got this. So the href comes after A equals https no. Forgot their forward slashes. www.freecatphotoapp.com. Okay, only one A element. Our A element should have the anchor text of cat photos. Does it say what we should target? Does it say to have a target? Cat photos is our text that's within the A element. Because this is the anchor text. That means we do have a target. Target equals underscore blank cat photos. Okay, and then we close the first, and then we close it here. You should only have one A element. We do. Your A element should be nested within your P element. Is it not? Is it counting our A element from before? Oh, it sure is. Okay, so is that it? Oh, I forgot the P in app. Okay, we got it that time. Awesome. Alrighty. Control Enter. Make dead links using the hash symbol. Sometimes you want to add anchor elements to your website before you know where they will link. This is also handy when you're changing the behavior link using JavaScript, which we'll learn about later. The current value of the reference attribute is a link that points to blah 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 free code. Replace the href attribute with a hash, also known as a hash symbol, to create a dead link. For example, href equals dead link. So we are turning our current into a dead link. Okay, link destroyed. Link killed. Turn an image into a link. You can make elements into links by nesting them within an A element. Nest your image within an A element. Here's an example. A, href, blah, image, source, blah, 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 alt, 3 kittens running toward the camera. Remember to use hash as your anchor element's href property in order to turn it into a dead link. Place the existing image element within an anchor element. Once you've done this, hover over your image with your cursor. Your cursor's normal pointer should become the link clicking pointer. The photo is now a link. Okay, I think I get it. So A, href, hash, done. And then we close the anchor over here. Yep, because now when we hover over the image, it's now clickable and it will do that. So I think that's everything. Yep. Alright, we're 50% of the way through. HTML has a special element for creating unordered lists, or bullet point style lists. Unordered lists start with an opening ul element, followed by any number of list elements. Finally, unordered lists close with a, that thing. For example, ul blah, milk, cheese, blah. We create a bullet point style list of milk and cheese. Remove the last two P elements and create an unordered list of 3 things that cats love at the bottom of the page. Oh, so we just have to make up 3 things that cats love. So, remove P elements and hit them with the unordered lists. UL. Food. It's 3 things, right? What else do cats love? Catnip. Okay, 3rd thing. Food, catnip. I'm tempted to just put food again. We'll go for something, you know, stereotypical like milk. Create a UL element. You should have 3 closing tag. Closing tags for those. Should not contain an empty string or only white space. Yep. On to the next. HTML has another special element for creating ordered lists or numbered lists. Ordered lists start with an opening ordered list element followed by any number of list elements. Finally, ordered lists are closed with the ordered list tag. For example, blah 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 blah. We'll create a numbered list of Garfield and Sylvester. Oh, we used to have a cat named Sylvester. Create an ordered list of the top 3 things cats hate the most. You should have an ordered list for the top 3 things cats hate. You should have an unordered list for things cats love. Okay, so that's unordered list right there. You should only have 1 UL element. You should only have 1 OL element. You should have 3 list elements within your UL element. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, they changed my things. Cats do not love lasagna. That is only Garfield. You put a lasagna in front of a normal cat, they're not going to know what to do with that. Catnip and laser pointers I will accept. Lasagna is a no. Where was I? Okay. 3 list elements within your ordered list. Your UL element should have a closing tag. Your OL element should have a closing tag. Your list element should have a closing tag. Should not be empty. Should not be empty. Okay. OL. I'm gonna put people. I'll put dogs. What should the last thing be? What's the 3rd thing that cats hate? I'm gonna put other cats. That's especially true of our cat Lucy, or my parents' cat Lucy. Run the tests. Alright. Done and dusted. Now let's create a web form. Input elements are a convenient way to get input from your user. You can create a text input like this. Input type text. Note that input elements are self-closing. Create an input element of the type text below your lists. Excusez-moi. So input type equals quotation text. Alright, simple enough. 61% complete. Placeholder text is what is displayed in your input text before your user has inputted anything. You can create placeholder text like so. Input type text, placeholder, this is placeholder text. Remember that the input element is self-closing. Input elements are self-closing. Set the placeholder value of your text's input to cat photo URL. So after type, we should just place placeholder cat photo URL. The existing input, set the value of placeholder output to cat photo URL. Finished input element should not have a closing tag because it self-closes, and the finished input element should have valid syntax. Next challenge. You can build web forms that actually submit data to a server using nothing more than pure HTML. You can do this by specifying an action attribute on your form element. For example, form action URL where you want to submit form data, input form. Nest the existing input element inside a form element and assign https www.freecatphotoapp.com submit cat photo to the action attribute of the form element. Okay, so we got the input here. So above the input, we put the form. Form action URL dash where dash you. Yeah, and I should say that I probably wouldn't be saying all this out loud if I wasn't streaming. But yeah, because I can see how that could be annoying. Submit form data. Oh, that's not the form element. That's not what I was supposed to be doing. HTTPS www.freecatphotoapp.com/submit cat photo. Close that caret, and after the input text, input element, close form. Your form element should have an action attribute which is set to, do I not? What did I forget? So what am I missing here? Did I have it spelled wrong? I guess I must have had it spelled wrong. I guess I should be utilizing copy-paste more. Next challenge. Let's add a submit button to your form. Clicking this button will send the data from your form to the URL you specify within your form's action attribute. Here's an example submit button. Button, type submit. This button submits the form button. Add a button as the last element of your form element with a type of submit. And submit as its text. So you insert the button in the form element. Okay. So button, type submit, submit as its text, and you close the button element. Alrighty, 71% complete. On to the next. You can require specific form fields so that your user would not be able to submit your form until he or she has filled them out. For example, if you wanted to make a text input field required, you can just add the attribute required within your input element like this. Input type text required. Make your text input a required field so that your user can't submit the form without completing this field. Then try to submit the form without inputting any text. See how your HTML5 form notifies you that the field is required? So do I put it immediately after the text? Or do I put it all the way over here? I'm going to put it right after the text. Okay. Oh, I forgot to check the thing. But oh well, on to the next. Create a set of radio buttons. You can use radio buttons for questions where you want the user to only give you one answer out of multiple options. Radio buttons are a type of input. Each of your radio buttons can be nested within its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of a label element, it will automatically associate the radio button input with the label element surrounding it. All related radio buttons should have the same name attribute to create a radio button group. By creating a radio group, selecting any single radio button will automatically deselect the other buttons within the same group, ensuring only one answer is provided by the user. Here's an example of a radio button. Label, input type radio, name indoor outdoor, indoor label. It is considered best practice to set a for attribute on the label element with a value that matches the value of the identity attribute of the input element. This allows assistive technologies to create a linked relationship between the label and the related input element. For example, input identity indoor, type radio, name indoor outdoor, label for indoor, indoor label. We can also nest the input element within the label tags. Label for indoor, input ID indoor, type radio, name indoor outdoor, indoor label. Add a pair of radio buttons to your form, each nested in its own label element. One should have the option of indoor and the other should have the option of outdoor. Hmm. One should have the option of indoor and the other should have the option of outdoor. Both should share the same name attribute of indoor-outdoor to create a radio group. Each of your radio buttons should be added within the form tag. Okay, so it has to be inside this form. So we can put it after the submit button. So we make another input, right? Add a pair of radio buttons to your form, each nested in its own label element. One should have the option of indoor and the other should have the option of outdoor. Both should share the name attribute of the indoor-outdoor to create a radio group. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so input ID indoor type radio name indoor outdoor. Oh. So then we make a label for indoor indoor label and I need another one for outdoor, right? Label for outdoor label. Page should have 2 radio button elements. Name and attribute of indoor outdoor should be nested in its own label element. Each of your label elements should have a closing tag. One of your radio buttons should have the label indoor. One of your radio buttons should have the label outdoor. Each of your radio button elements should be added within the form tag. Huh. What did I do wrong, I wonder? Should I put the input inside the label? Do I need to do it for both? Does that fix it? Ah, we did it. 79% complete. Forms commonly use checkboxes for questions that may have more than one answer. Checkboxes are a type of input. Each of your checkboxes can be nested within its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of a label element, it will automatically associate the checkbox input with the label element surrounding it. All related checkbox inputs should have the same name attribute. It is considered best practice to explicitly define the relationship between a checkbox input and its corresponding label by setting the for attribute on the label element to match the ID attribute of the associated input element. Here's an example of a checkbox. Label for loving, input ID loving, type checkbox, name personality, loving / label. Add to your form a set of 3 checkboxes. Each checkbox should be nested within its own label element. All 3 should share the same name attribute of personality. Okay, I think I get it. So once again, inside the form tag. Oh look, they included other cats. Top 3 things cats hate. Flea treatment, that's true. Thunder, it's more of a dog thing in my opinion. And 3 other cats. Okay, so... Oh, excuse me. So I need to come up with 3 personality attributes, is basically what I'm getting. So label for loving, input ID loving, type checkbox, name equals personality And then we actually have to put the thing in and close the label. Then we have to come up with 2 more labels. So, personality traits for cats. Loving. Let's go for label for why did I put a space there? No space. How about loner? Input ID loner, type checkbox, name, personality, loner / label. How about label for predator? Input ID. Oh, I shouldn't have capitals. Not in the text, that is. The, you know what I mean. Type. This would be faster if I copy pasted, but I like typing. Name, personality, predator, close label, label, close label. Run the tests. Yep, we got that one. 82% complete. Use the value attribute with radio buttons and checkboxes. When the form gets submitted, the data is sent to the server and includes entries for the option selected. Inputs of type radio and checkbox report their values from the value attribute. For example, label for indoor, label for indoor, input ID indoor, value indoor, type radio, name indoor outdoor, indoor label. Label for outdoor, input ID outdoor, value outdoor. Type radio, name indoor outdoor, outdoor label. Here you have 2 radio inputs. When the user submits the form with the indoor option selected, the form data will include the line indoor outdoor equals indoor. This is from the name and value attributes of the indoor input. If you omit the value attribute, the submitted form data uses the default value, which is on. In this scenario, if the user clicked the indoor option and submitted the form, the resulting form data would be indoor outdoor on, which is not useful. So the value attribute needs to be set to something to identify the option. Give each of the radio and checkbox inputs the value attribute. Use the input label text in lowercase as the value of the attribute. So for each one, I basically just need to go into the input and put in a value to each option. So for this one, I'll put it before type. Value equals indoor and then for this one the value will be outdoor. Then the value for this one will be loving. Oh, they went with lazy and energetic, huh? Value, no, wrong one. Value equals, which one is this? Loving. Value equals loving. Nope. Lazy. Lazy. Loving was the first one. Then value equals energetic. Give each of the radio and checkbox inputs. Yes, I've done this. Use the input label text in lowercase as the value for the attribute. I think that did it. Yep. 86%. On to the next. Check radio buttons and checkboxes by default. You can set a checkbox or radio button to be checked by default using the checked attribute. To do this, just add the word checked to the inside of the input element. For example, input type radio name test name checked. Set the first of your radio buttons and the first of your checkboxes to both be checked by default. So after basically after each one put, well, not each one, just the first one checked. For the radio, first radio, and then here for, no, not there, here. Checked. Oh, see, and we already see that it worked right there. %. The div element, also known as a division element, is a general purpose container for other elements. The div element is probably the most commonly used HTML element of all. Just like any other non-self-closing element, you can open a div element with a div and close it on another line with /div. Nest your things cats love and top 3 things cats hate lists all within a single div element. Hint, try putting your opening div tag above your things cats love p element and your closing div tag after your closing OL tag so that both of your lists are within one div. Isn't that just telling me how to do it? Div, and then the last one, you're closing OL tag. /div. That wasn't that hard. 93%. Declare the doc type of an HTML document. The challenges so far have covered specific HTML elements and their uses. However, there are a few elements that give overall structure to your page and should be included in every HTML document. At the top of your document, you need to tell the browser which version of HTML your page is using. HTML is an evolving language and is updated regularly. Most major browsers support the latest specification, which is HTML5. However, older web pages may use previous versions of the language. You tell the browser this information by adding the doctype tag on the first line, where the ... part is the version of HTML. For HTML5, you use doctype HTML. The exclamation point in uppercase doctype is important, especially for older browsers. The HTML is not case sensitive. Next, the rest of your HTML code needs to be wrapped in HTML tags. The opening HTML goes directly below the doctype HTML line. The closing HTML goes at the end of the page. Here's an example of this page structure. Your HTML code would go into space between the two HTML tags. Add a doctype tag for HTML5 to the top of the blank HTML document in the code editor. Under it, add opening and closing HTML tags, which wrap around an H1 element. The heading can include any text. Okay. So this tells the browser what type of HTML it is. Doctype HTML HTML H1 Let's call it coding on Twitch. %. Yep. Okay, that looks fine. Oh shoot, I've had it on this the whole time. Yeah, you know what? It's fine. I think y'all can still see. I hope so. If y'all can't see, I'll switch it to the live feed. Submit and go to the next challenge. Define the head and body of an HTML document. You can add another level of organization in your HTML document within the HTML tags with the head and body elements. Any markup with information about your page would go into the head tag, and any markup with the content of the page, what displays for a user, would go into the body tag. Metadata elements such as link, meta, title, and style typically go inside the head element. Here's an example of a page's layout. Doctype HTML, HTML, head, meta, head, body, div, body, HTML. Edit and make up so there's a head and a body. The head element should only include the title, and the body element should only include the H1 and P. Okay. Okay, so head should only include the title / head. Body element should only include the H1 and P. Run the tests. 100% complete. Alrighty. That was kind of fun. Nicely done. You just completed basic HTML and HTML5. Become a monthly supporter of our nonprofit. ask me later. Okay. Responsive web design. Basic cascading style sheets. I know what that means still. Now let's change the color of some of our text. We can do this by changing the style of your H2 element. The property that is responsible for the color of an element's text is the color style property. Here's how you would set your H2 element's text color to blue. H2 style, color, colon, blue, cat photo app, a closing H2 tag. Note that it is a good practice to end inline style decorations with a semicolon. Change your H2 element style so that its text color is red. Okay, H2. Style. Color. Red, semicolon. Oh, and we can already see that it worked. All right. Use cascading style sheet selectors to style elements. With CSS, there are hundreds of CSS properties that you can use to change the way an element looks on your page. When you entered H2 style color red, you are styling that individual H2 element with inline CSS, which stands for cascading style sheets, which I already spoiled for you. That's one way to specify the style of an element, but there's a better way to apply CSS. At the top of your code, create a style block like this. Style, close style. Inside that style block, you can create a CSS selector for all H2 elements. For example, if you wanted all H2 elements to be red, you would add a style rule that looks like this. Style, H2, color red, close style. Note that it's important to have both opening and closing curly braces. Important to have both opening and closing curly braces around each element style rules. You also need to make sure that your element style definition is between the opening and closing style tags. Finally, be sure to add a semicolon to the end of each of your element style rules. Delete your H2 element style attribute and instead create a CSS style block. Add the necessary CSS to turn all H2 elements blue. Okay, I think I understand what it's asking. So get rid of this. We'll do it up here. Style. H2. Space. Nope. Where's the squiggly? There it is. Color. Color. Semicolon. Blue. Semicolon. Style. What are you doing, cute cat? Speak of the devil. What are you doing up here? What are you doing, Lulu? Oh, do you want pets? I can't give you pets right now, Lulu. I know. I'm busy. I know. Okay, where was I? Looks like it worked. because I see H2 there. That's it. Alrighty, on to the next. Classes are reusable styles that can be added to HTML elements. Here's an example of CSS class declaration. Style blue text style. You can see that we've created a CSS class sheet called blue text within the style tag. You can apply a class to an HTML element like this. H2 class equals blue text, blah blah blah. Note that in your CSS style element, class names start with a period. In your HTML element's class attribute, the class name does not include a period. Inside your style element, change the H2 selector to red text and update the color's value from blue to red. Give your H2 element the class attribute with a value of red text. Okay, I think I see what it means. So I delete this. And this is where we create the red text. Color. Red. Semicolon. And now we go to the H2 tag and we assign it the class red text. Like so. Run the tests. Okie dokie. Classes allow you to use the same CSS styles on multiple HTML elements. You can see this by applying your red text class to the first P element. Okay, your H2 element should be red, and so it is. Your H2 element should have the class red text, and it does. Your first P element should be red. So we go into P and assign it the class red text. Your second and third P elements should not be red. That's the second one, not red. That's the third one, not red. Your first P element should have the class red text. And I think that's it. 9% complete. How are we doing on time? We've been at this for a little over an hour and a half. Ah, come on, dude. I'm doing my best here, Om Nom. Get out of here. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, where were we? Font size is controlled by the font size CSS property like this. H1 font size 30px. Inside the same style tag that contains your red text class, create an entry for p elements and set the font size to 16 pixels. So I think that means that we go here, we go P, font size colon 16 pixels px. Did that work? Okay, yeah, that's simple. You can set which font an element should use by using the font family property. For example, if you wanted to set your H2 element's font to sans serif, you would use the following CSS. H2 font family sans serif. Make all of your P elements use the monospace font. Can I do that in here? Font family. Oh, monospace. Monospace. There. Oh, that worked. Very cool. 14%. Import a Google font. In addition to specifying common fonts that are found on most operating systems, we can also specify non-standard custom web fonts for use on our website. There are many sources for web fonts on the internet. For this example, we will focus on the Google Fonts library. Google Fonts is a free library of web fonts that you can use in your CSS by referencing the font's URL. So let's go ahead and import and apply a Google font. Note that if Google is blocked in your country, you'll need to skip this challenge. To import a Google font, you can copy the font's URL from the Google Fonts library and then paste it in your HTML. For this challenge, we'll import the Lobster font. To do this, copy the following code snippet and paste it into the top of your code editor before the opening style element. Link, href, blah 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 blah. Now you can use the Lobster font in your CSS by using Lobster as the family name, as in the following example. Font family, family name, generic name. The generic name is optional and is a fallback font in case the other specified font is not available. This is covered in the next challenge. Family names are case sensitive and need to be wrapped in quotes. What are you doing, cat? Okay, cross over quickly. Come on, don't stand on my keyboard. There you go, good girl. Where was I? The generic name is optional and is a fallback font in case the other specified font is not available. This is covered in the next challenge. Family names are case sensitive and need to be wrapped in quotes if there is a space in the name. For example, you need quotes to use the Open Sans font, but not to use the Lobster font. Import the Lobster font to your web page, then use an element selector set Lobster as the font family for your H2 element. Okay. So we need to do this before the opening style element. Copy. Paste. Then use an element selector to set lobster. For your H2 element. So we have red text there, P here. So we're going to make a new one for H2. H2. Font family. Lobster. Alright, I think that did it. Import lobster font. H2 lobster. H2 element selector. Your P element should still use the font monospace. Alright. 16% complete. There are several default fonts that are available in all browsers. These generic font families include monospace, serif, and sans serif. When one font is available, you can tell the browser to degrade to another font. For example, if you wanted an element to use the Helvetica font, but degrade to the sans serif font when Helvetica isn't available, you will specify it as follows. P font family Helvetica, sans serif, semicolon. Generic font family names are not case sensitive. Also, they do not need quotes because they are CSS keywords. To begin, apply the monospace font to the H2 element so that it now has two fonts, lobster and monospace. In the last challenge, you imported the lobster font for front using the link tag. Now comment out that import of the lobster font using the HTML comments you learned before from Google Fonts so that it isn't available anymore. Notice how your H2 element degrades to the monospace font. Now, if you had the lobster font installed on your computer, you won't see the degradation because your browser is able to see the font. Okay, I think I get it. So we do lobster, comma, monospace. And then we go here and we do caret, what was it? Exclamation point dash dash. Close it. And then we no. Dash dash? Yes. Oh, I must have it installed on my computer. I'm also using Google Chrome, so that might be it too. Oh, I remembered that. I didn't need the slash. Wait. Am I not remembering it right? Yeah. Okay. Submit and go to the next challenge. Size your images. CSS has a property called width that controls an element's width. Just like with fonts, we'll use pixels to specify the image's width. For example, if we wanted to create a CSS class called larger image that gave HTML elements a width of 500 pixels, we'd use style larger image width 500 pixels style close style. Create a class called smaller image and use it to resize the image so that it's only 100 pixels wide. Okay, I think I get what to do. So, dot smaller image width 100. Nope, that's 1000. px semicolon and then for image we assign it the class smaller image, right? Smaller dash image. Oh, yep, much smaller. %, complete. CSS borders have properties like style, color, and width. For example, if we wanted to create a red 5-pixel border around an HTML element, we could use this class. Style, thin red border, border color red, border width 5 pixels, border style solid, close style. Create a class called thick green border. This class should add a 10-pixel solid green border around an HTML element. Apply the class to your cat photo. Remember that you can apply multiple classes to an element using its class attribute by separating each class name with a space. For example, image class, quotation, class 1 space class 2. Cool. That way we keep its class smaller image and we apply the new class that we're about to do. Dot thick green border. Border color. Green. Border width. 10 pixels. Border style solid. And then we apply it to the image, right? By coming here, making a space, thick green dash border. Voila. Submit and go to the next challenge. Add rounded corners with border radius. Your cat photo currently has sharp corners. We can round out those corners with a CSS property called border radius. You can specify a border radius with pixels. Give your cat photo a border radius of 10 pixels. Note, this challenge allows for multiple possible solutions. For example, you may add border radius to either the thick green border class or the smaller image class. Might as well keep it as is. Border radius 10 pixels. Now that's rounded. 25%, a fourth of the way through. In addition to pixels, you can also specify the border radius using a percentage. Give your cat photo a border radius of 50%. So instead of 10 pics, we can just have 50%. That just made it into a circle. That looks like a Twitter profile pic. Cool. 27%. You can set an element's background color with a background color property. For example, if you wanted an element's background color to be green, you'd put this within your style element. You create a green background, you set that background color to green. Create a class called silver background with the background color of silver. Assign this class to your div element. Do I have a div? I sure do right there. Okay. Let's go back to here. Dot silver background. Background color silver, semicolon. Then we head down to div and set its class to silver background. Div class equals silver dash background. Cool. 30%. Set the ID of an element. In addition to classes, each HTML element can also have an ID attribute. There are several benefits to using ID attributes. You can use an ID to style a single element, and later you'll learn that you can use them to select and modify specific elements with JavaScript. ID attributes should be unique. Browsers won't enforce this, but it is a widely agreed upon best practice. So please don't give more than one element the same ID attribute. Here's an example of how you give your H2 element the ID of cat photo app. H2 ID cat photo app. Give your form element the ID cat photo form. Where's our form? There it is. Form ID. Nope. ID equals cat photo dash form. No. %. Let's continue. Use an ID attribute to style an element. One cool thing about ID attributes is that like classes, you can style them using CSS. However, an ID is not reusable and should only be applied to one element. An ID also has a higher specificity. I'm getting tongue-tied on this. Specificity. Oh my god, I can normally say this, no problem. Higher specificity. I'm going to take a drink and then we'll come back to that word. Okay, third tries the charm. Higher specificity. I swear I'm not drunk. I don't actually drink very much. At all, really. Why can I not say this word tonight? Specificity. Let's just go with importance, because people probably more than me have trouble saying this in one word. Also has a higher importance than a class, so if both are applied to the same element and have conflicting styles, the styles of the ID will be applied. Here's an example of how you can take your element with the ID attribute of cat photo element and give it the background color of green in your style element. Oh no, background color of green. In your style element, hash cat photo element, background color green. Note that inside your style element, you always reference classes by putting a dot in front of their names. You always reference IDs by putting a hash in front of their names. Try giving your form, which now has the ID attribute of cat photo form, a green background. So in the style bracket, slash cat, let's make a space, yeah, hash cat photo form background color colon green. Cool.
Your memory has nothing to do with it.
Your form element should have the ID of cat photo form. Your form element should have the background color of green. Your form element should have an ID attribute. You should not give your form any class or style attributes.
To do this, we do many things here and
34%.
to become silent.
Adjust the padding of an element. Now let's put our cat photo app away for a little while and learn more about styling HTML. You may have already noticed this, but all HTML elements are essentially little rectangles. 3 important properties control the space that surrounds each HTML element: padding, border, and margin. An element's padding controls the amount of space between the element's content and its border. Here we can see that the blue box and the red box are nestled within the yellow box. Note that the red box has more padding than the blue box. Yeah, the red box has 20 pixels of padding compared to the blue box's 10. When you increase the blue box's padding, it will increase the distance padding between the text and the border around it. Change the padding of your blue box to match that of your red box. Pretty easy. 20. $36. Next. Adjust the margin of an element. An element's margin controls the amount of space between an element's border and surrounding elements. Here we can see that the blue box and the red box are nestled within the yellow box. Note that the red box has a bigger margin, 20 pixels, than the blue box, making it appear smaller. When you increase the blue box's margin, it will increase the distance between its border and surrounding elements. Change the margin of the blue box to match that of the red box. Once again, 20. Neat. Run the tests. Alrighty. An element's margin controls the amount of space between an element's border and surrounding elements. If you set an element's margin to a negative value, the element will grow larger. Try to set the margin to a negative value like the one for the red box. Okay. Change the margin of the blue box to negative 15 pixels so it fills the entire horizontal width of the yellow box around it. Negative 15 px. %. Sometimes you will want to customize an element so that it has different amounts of padding on each of its sides. CSS allows you to control the padding of all 4 individual sides of an element with the padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left properties. Give the blue box a padding of 40 pixels on its top and left side, but only 20 pixels on its bottom and right side. Okay. So we go here to blue I cannot speak. Okay. Okay. Padding. Dash. Top. 40 pixels. We don't have to do it in the order that they did it. We'll do it like they did it anyway. 20 pixels. Padding right. Padding bottom. 20 pixels. Padding. I put in an extra D. Padding left. 40 pixels. What's wrong, Shaggy? Oh, do you want to go back to the bedroom now? Okay. Give me a minute, guys. What, y'all just trade places now? Alright. My dogs are weird, guys. Okay. 40, 20, 20, 40. That should be it. 43% complete. Sometimes, okay, add different margins to each side of an element. Sometimes you will want to customize an element so that it has a different margin on each of its sides. CSS allows you to control the margin of all 4 individual sides of an element with the margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left properties. Give the blue box a margin of 40 pixels on its top and left side, but only 20 pixels on its bottom and right side. So basically the same thing again, but just with margins instead of padding. Margin top. You know, I could really make this easier on myself and just freaking here. Copy. Paste. 40 top, 40 left, 20 right, 20 bottom. Run the tests. 45% complete. Instead of specifying an element, okay, use clockwise notation to specify the padding of an element. Instead of specifying an element's padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left properties individually, you can specify them all in one line like this. Well, you could have just started out with that. These 4 values work like a clock. Top, right, bottom, left. Okay, so there was a reason to do it the way we did. And it will produce the exact same result as using the side-specific padding instructions. Use clockwise notation to give the blue box class a padding of 40 pixels on its top and left side, but only 20 pixels on its bottom and right side. Once again, we can pretty much do this like instantly just doing this. I mean, from what I've heard, you know, a lot of coding is actually just copying and pasting. Oh, wait a minute. You were trying to trick me, weren't you? Yeah, I think they were just trying to trick me. Okay. It's actually the inverse. It's 40, 20, 40, and 20 again. Wait. No, I had it right the first time then. Wait, no, now I'm confused. Top, bottom, left. No, top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, and left. Okay. So this should be 20 px, and this should be 40. Okay, I see what I did now. You gotta pay attention to the little things, it seems. Next challenge. Use clockwise notation to specify the margin of an element. Let's try this again, but with margin this time. Instead of specifying an element's margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left properties individually, you can specify them all in one line like this. Blah, 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 blah. For values look like a clock. Top, right, bottom, left. So yeah, you can't just copy and paste everything. Margin, top, left, bottom, right. No. Top, right, bottom, left. So that should be 20, 20, 40, 20, 20, 40. Okay, halfway through this section. You have been adding ID or class attributes to elements that you wish to specify style. These are known as ID and class selectors. There are other CS selectors that you can use to select custom groups of elements to style. Let's bring out Cat Photo app again to practice using CSS selectors. For this challenge, you'll use the attribute equals value attribute selector to style the checkboxes in Cat Photo app. This selector matches and styles elements with a specific attribute value. For example, the below code changes the margins of all elements with the attribute type, and a corresponding value of radio. Type radio, margin 20, 0, 20, 0 pixels. Using the type attribute selector, try to give the checkboxes in Cat Photo app a top margin of 10 pixels and a bottom margin of 15 pixels. Okay. So does this go in the CSS? Yeah, it looks like it because it's got like the bracket thingies here. So instead of radio, it should be checkbox. So type equals, that ain't it. There we go. Oh, that ain't it either. There we go. Type checkbox. To give the checkbox and cap fill up a top margin of 10 pixels and a bottom margin of 15 pixels. Top, right, bottom, left. Like a clock. Okay. I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it. Margin 10 pixels. 0 pixels. Top right. Yep. Bottom 15 pixels. 0 pixels. Semicolon. Cool. I don't know if CSS was this far along, but when I first started like learning all this stuff, but I don't know. I don't remember. I guess that's what makes this so useful to me is, you know, getting the rust off. Understand absolute versus relative units. The last several challenges all set an element's margin or padding with pixels. Pixels are a type of length unit, which is what tells the browser how to size or space an item. In addition to pixels, CSS has a number of different length unit options that you can use. The two main types of length units are absolute and relative. Absolute units tie to physical units of length. For example, inch and millimeter refers to inches and millimeters respectively. Absolute length units approximate the actual measurement on a screen, but there are some differences depending on the screen's resolution. Relative units such as em or rem. I remember using ems when I was getting my degree in graphic arts. Em or rem are relative to another length value. For example, em is based on the size of an element's font. If you use it to set the font size property itself, it's relative to the parent's font size. Note, there are several relative unit options that are tied to the size of the viewport. They are covered in the Responsive Web Design Principles section. Add a padding property to the element with class redbox and set it to 1.5 em. Redbox. Redbox class should have a padding property. Padding 1.5 em. Okay. Next challenge. Now style the HTML body element. Now let's start fresh and talk about CSS inheritance. Every HTML page has a body element. We can prove that the body element exists here by giving it a background color of black. We can do this by adding the following to our style element. Body, background color, black. Okay, so tab, body, background color, dash color, black. Oh, there it is. %57 complete. Now we've proven that every HTML page has a body element, and that its body element can also be styled with CSS. Remember, you can style your body element just like any other HTML element, and all your other elements will inherit your body element styles. First, create an H1 element with the text Hello World. Then let's give all elements on your page the color of green by adding color, green, to your body element's style declaration. Finally, give your body element the font family of monospace by adding font family monospace to your body's element style declaration. Okay, so after style, we create an H1 element with the text hello world. And then we go back color green. And then we do font family monospace. I think that's all it asked us. You should create an H1 element. Your H1 element should have the text hello world. Your H1 element should have the closing tag. Check. Your body element should have the crop color property of green. Got it. Body element should have the font family property of monospace. Done that. Your H1 element should inherit the font monospace from your body element. Your H1 element should inherit the color green from your body element. Yep, looks good. 59%. Sometimes your HTML elements will receive multiple styles that conflict with one another. For example, your H1 element can't be both green and pink at the same time. Let's see what happens when we create a class that makes text pink, then apply it to an element. Will our class override the body element's color green CS property? Create a CSS class called pink text that gives the element the color pink. Give your H1 element the class of pink text. Okay, so within style, we now have dot pink text. Wait, this is how it works? Yes. I remember now. Color. No, not green. Pink. Then we come here and we assign it the class equals pink text. Did it not work? Your H1 element should be pink. Yes, I'm aware. Does it have to be above body? Yep. What did I do wrong? Isn't this like the point? Is that... I don't think I did anything wrong. Isn't that the point of this? Is that it won't override? Okay. Create a CSS class called pink text that gives an element to color pink, which I did. Give your h1 element the class of pink text. Do I have to put h1 in a different... Here, this is what I think we'll do. Div. / div. Or no. Header. Header. Okay. I think I'm stumped. Get help. All right, give me a hint. Oh, I did another semicolon instead of... Okay, that's what was wrong. And it's always the little things, guys. I gave it a colon when it needed a semicolon. %. Our pink text class overrode our body elements CSS declaration. We just proved that our classes will override the body element CSS. So the next logical question is, what can we do to override our pink text class? Create an additional CSS class called blue text that gives an element the color blue. Make sure it's below your pink text class declaration. Apply the blue text class to your h1 element in addition to your pink text class, and let's see which one wins. Applying multiple class attributes to an HTML element is done with a space between them like this. Class equals class 1, class 2. It doesn't matter which order the classes are listed in the HTML element. However, the order of the class declarations in the style section is what is important. The second declaration will always take precedence over the first. Because blue text is declared second, it overrides the pink attributes of pink text. That's a little backwards, but I think I understand. Blue text color blue with a semicolon this time. And then we go blue text. And it changes to blue. %. Override class declarations by styling identity attributes. We just proved that browsers read CSS from top to bottom in order of their declaration. That means that in the event of a conflict, the browser will use whichever CSS declaration came last. Notice that if we even had put blue text before pink text in our h1 elements classes, it would still look at the declaration order and not the order of their use. But we're not done yet. There are other ways you can override CSS. Do you remember ID attributes? Let's override your pink text and blue text classes and make your h1 element orange by giving the h1 element an ID and then styling that ID. Give your h1 element the ID attribute of orange text. Remember, ID styles look like this. Leave the blue text and pink classes on your h1 element. Then create a CSS declaration for your orange text ID and your style element. Here's an example of what this looks like. Brown text, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter whether you declare the CSS above or below pink text class, since the ID attribute will always take precedence. Okay. Excuse me. It's starting to get late. I think this section will be our last section of the night. We still got 20-30% to go. What was there anything I need to remember about this? Orange text. Yep, it worked. So the hash overrides the ID overrides the class. ID overrides class is the lesson here. (66) Override class declarations with inline styles. So we've proven that ID declarations override class declarations regardless of where they are declared in your style element CSS. There are other ways that you can override CSS. You remember inline styles? Use the inline style to try to make our h1 element white. Remember, inline styles look like this. h1 style color green. Leave the blue text and pink leave the blue text and pink text classes on your h1 element. So you go straight here and you just declare the style directly in line with the h1 element. Color white. White. Inline styles override all. So there's a hierarchy to everything. Override all other styles by using important. Oh. Yay, we just proved that inline styles will override all the CSS declarations in your style element. But wait, there's one last way to override CSS. It's the most powerful method of all, but before we do it, let's talk about why you would ever want to override CSS. In many situations, you will use CSS libraries. These may accidentally override your own CSS. So when you absolutely need to be sure that an element has specific CSS, you can use !important. Let's go all the way back to our pink text class declaration. Remember that our pink text class was overridden by subsequent class declarations, ID declarations, and inline styles. Let's add the keyword !important to your pink text element color declaration to make 100% sure that your h1 element will be pink. An example of how to do this is color red !important. So we go here to pink text class, make a space after pink, and do exclamation point important. And now it is pink. Cool. 70% complete. 30% to go. Did you know there are other ways to represent colors in CSS? One of these ways is called hexadecimal code, or a hex code for short. I learned all about these in graphic arts. We usually use decimals or base 10 numbers, which use the symbols 0 to 9 for each digit. Hexadecimals, or hex, are base 16 numbers. This means it uses 16 distinct symbols. Like decimals, the symbols 0 to 9 represent the values 0 to 9. Then A, B, C, D, E, F represent the values 10 to 15. Altogether, 0 to F can represent a digit in hexadecimal, giving us 16 total possible values. You can find more information about hexadecimal numbers here. In CSS, we can use 6 hexadecimal digits to represent colors, two each for the red, green, and blue components. For example, hash 00000 is black and is also the lowest possible value. You can find more information about the RGB color system here. Replace the word black in our body element's background color with its hex code representation hash 00000. So basically nothing will happen. We'll just have changed the code. Do. Yep. See? The same. Use hex code to mix color. To review, hex codes use 6 hexadecimal digits to represent colors, 2 each for red, green, and blue components. From these 3 pure colors, red, green, and blue, we can vary the amounts of each to create over 16 million other colors. For example, orange is pure red mixed with some green and no blue. In hex code, this translates to being hash FFA500. The digit 0 is the lowest number in hex code and represents a complete absence of color. The digit F is the highest number in hex code and represents the maximum possible brightness. Replace the colored words in our style element with the correct hex codes. So our H1 element with the text I am red should be given the color red. So we take this and put it here. Then we do the same for green here. The Dodger blue code we put here. Getting really specific. And then we take this code and put it here. Run the tests. 75%. 3/4 of the way there. Use abbreviated hex code. Many people feel overwhelmed by the possibilities of more than 16 million colors, and it's difficult to remember hex code. Fortunately, you can shorten it. For example, red's hex code FF0000 can be shortened to F00. This shortened form gives 1 digit for red, 1 digit for green, and 1 digit for blue. This reduces the total number of possible colors to around 4,000. But browsers will interpret blah 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 and blah 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 as exactly the same color. Go ahead, try using the abbreviated hex codes to color the correct elements. So again, it's basically red, fuchsia, cyan, Yeah, color stuff gets really complicated, especially when you get around to the printing part of color stuff. Like, I have posters that like kind of like remind me of like, you know, color stuff when I was trying to be a graphic artist. "77% complete." Next challenge. Use RGB values to color elements. Another way you can represent colors in CSS is by using RGB values. RGB value for black looks like this, RGB 000. So basically the same, but a little different. The RGB value for white looks like this, RGB 255, 255, and 255. Instead of using 6 hexadecimal digits like you do with hex code, with RGB you specify the brightness of each color with a number between 0 and 255. If you do the math, the 2 digits for one color equals 16 times 16, which gives us 256 total values. So RGB, which starts counting from 0, has the exact same number of possible values as hex code. Here's an example of how you change the body background to orange using its RGB code. Let's replace the hex code in our body element's background color with the RGB value for black, RGB 000. So we'll copy this. And this is the hexadecimal code for red. And it is now black. 80%. Use RGB to mix colors. Just like with hex code, you can mix colors in RGB by using combinations of different values. Replace the hex codes in our style element with their correct RGB values. Alrighty, so basically the same. Blue goes here. Red goes here. Nope, here. Orchid goes here. Sienna goes here. Run the tests. 82. Use CSS variables to change several elements at once. CSS variables are a powerful way to change many CSS style properties at once by changing only one value. Follow the instructions below to see how changing just 3 values can change the styling of many elements. In the penguin class, change the black value to gray, the gray value to white, and the yellow value to orange. Oh, that was the song. Okay, so we're only changing this. As you can see by the comment text. Which is different for CSS than it is for HTML, apparently. They didn't mention that. So it's /star. And then you close it with //. So we change black to gray. We change the gray value to white. And with the yellow value to orange. Yep, that's pretty cute. Oh, sorry, penguin. I do like that you can adjust this if you need to, like, some things to be bigger or smaller. And this is all in the browser, so you don't need anything special in order to use any of this. Run the tests. 84%. Create a custom CSS variable. To create a CSS variable, You just need to give it a name with 2 hyphens in front of it and assign it a value like this. The dash dash penguin skin colon gray semicolon. This will create a variable named blah 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 penguin skin and assign it the value of gray. Now you can use that variable elsewhere in your CSS to change the value of other elements to gray. In the penguin class, create a variable name dash dash penguin skin and give it a value of gray. Okay. Dash dash penguin dash skin colon gray. Alrighty. Use a custom CSS variable. After you create your variable, you can assign its value to other CSS properties by referencing the name you gave it. Background var penguin skin. This will change the background of whatever element you are targeting to gray, because that is the value of the penguin skin variable. Note that styles will not be applied unless the variable's names are an exact match. Apply the penguin skin variable to the background property at the penguin top, penguin bottom, right hand, and left hand classes. Okay. So we go variable dash dash penguin dash skin. Penguin top, penguin bottom. Actually, we can just copy and paste this, can't we? And left hand. Run the tests. 89% complete. Hold on, I'm gonna stretch. Oh, my back. Okay, there we go. 89% complete. When using your variable as a CSS property value, you can attach a fallback value that your browser will revert to if the given variable is invalid. Note, this fallback is not used to increase browser compatibility, and it will not work on Internet Explorer browsers. Rather, it is used so that the browser has a color to display if it cannot find your variable. Here's how you do it. Background, variable, penguin skin, comma, black. This will set the background to black if your variable wasn't set. Note that this can be useful for debugging. It looks like there is a problem with the variables supplied to the penguin top and penguin bottom classes. Rather than fix the typo, add a fallback value of black to the background property of the penguin top and penguin bottom classes. So here you just do comma black. And then comma black. %. When working with improved compatibility with browser fallbacks. This was a big thing that they went over back in the day. When working with CSS, you will likely run into browser compatibility issues at some point. This is why it's important to provide browser fallbacks to avoid potential problems. When your browser parses the CSS of a web page, it ignores any properties that it doesn't recognize or support. For example, if you use a CSS variable to assign a background color on a site, Internet Explorer will ignore the background color because it does not support CSS variables. In that case, the browser will use whatever value it has for that property. If it can't find any other value set for that property, it will revert to the default value, which is typically not ideal. This means that if you do want to provide a browser fallback, it's as easy as providing another more widely supported value immediately before your declaration. That way, an older browser will have something to fall back on, while a newer browser will just interpret whatever declaration comes later in the cascade. It looks like the variable is being used to set the background color of the redbox class. Let's improve our browser compatibility by adding another background declaration right before the existing declaration and set its value to red. Your redbox rule should include a fallback with the background set to red immediately before the existing background declaration. Does that mean we just do like a comma here? Nope, that wasn't it. Should be here then, huh? Nope, that wasn't it either. Oh, okay, I think I see. Oh, what's up with our music? Oh, we must have reached the end of the playlist. There we go. So let's do background red. So it'll default to that in case this doesn't work, right? Yep. 93%. Inherit CSS variables. When you create a variable, it is available for you to use inside the selector in which you create it. It is also available in any of that selector's descendants. This happens because CSS variables are inherited, just like ordinary properties. To make use of inheritance, CSS variables are often defined in the root element. Root is a pseudo-class selector that matches the root element of the document, usually the HTML document. By creating your variables in root, they will be available globally and can be accessed from any other selector in the style sheet. Define a variable named penguin belly in the root selector and give it the value of pink. You can then see that the variable is inherited and that all the child elements which use it get pink backgrounds. Okay, how did this go again? think that's it, isn't it? %95 complete. Okay. Change the variable for a specific area. When you create your variables in root, they will set the value of that variable for the whole page. You can then overwrite these variables by setting them again within a specific element. Change the value of penguin belly to white in the penguin class. Was that it? Maybe var, oh no, dash dash, penguin dash belly white. I feel like I'm being stupid. Wait, do you just set it like that? Is it that simple? Oh, it was that simple. 98%. Use a media query to change a variable. CSS variables can simplify the way you use media queries. For instance, when your screen is smaller or larger than your media query breakpoint, you can change the value of the variable and it will apply its style wherever it is used. In the root selector of the media query, change it so penguin size is redefined and given a value of 20 pixels. 200 pixels, not 20, 200 pixels. Also, redefine penguin skin and give it a value of black. Then resize the preview to see this change in action. Ugh. it work? Oh, it did work. Okay. Okay, well. It's been about 3 hours. Let's, see what is next. Does it do that sort of thing? How do you get to where you... How do you get to where you... how far along you are? Please tell me that my progress was saved. I did all those. Yeah, didn't I do this one? Yeah, I did this one. Oh, I didn't submit it. We just completed basics, Okay. Okay. So that was pretty cool. We covered basic HTML and HTML5, and we covered basic CSS. And the next section is something that I'm pretty familiar with, having taken graphic design, actually having an degree in graphic design and not using it ever, or almost never in my actual work. Hi, Titan. How are you, buddy? How are you, boo-boo? Alrighty, well, we're nearing the 3-hour mark, so I think that's where we're going to stop for tonight. But yes, next in this series will be tackling applied visual design, followed by applied accessibility, responsive web design principles, CSS Flexbox, CSS Grid, oh there's a lot, responsive web design projects, and then I guess we can claim a certification, or I will, at least. But yeah, so that was pretty interesting. I guess we'll pick this back up again in the future. So let me figure out who we're going to raid tonight. Who is on that I follow? There's some people I haven't rated before. Let's see what's up in science and technology. Oh, there it was. Trying to see if there's any VTubers in science and technology. Not by the looks of things. Okay, so I think we're going to raid this VTuber. Her name is Yuxiu, and she is playing League of Legends with some friends, it looks like. So thank you all so much for watching. I have other streams that I'm going to be doing this week that are not coding. Let's see. Where is my calendar? Nope. Yeah, here we go. Okay. I forgot to move this browser to this screen. Tomorrow we are streaming Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where we have to make our lightsaber. A new lightsaber. And then on Saturday we're streaming Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. So thank you all so much for watching. You can follow me here on Twitch if you want to see more content from me. I upload VODs to my YouTube channel the day after broadcast. And I have a Twitter, and I just recently made a Discord server for us all to hang out in if we want, and play games together and all that sort of stuff. So I guess we're going to raid. So thank you all so much for watching, and have a good night.